Hi there, welcome or welcome back. I'm Avoidant. I'm a doctor of clinical psychology and an author. Today we're going to talk about situationships. Specifically, I've had this requested, the reasons why people get into situationships from the lens of if you are a person that would like to be in a committed relationship who feels stuck in a situationship. So I actually did my dissertation study on hookup culture. I've worked with college student populations, and I have observations and thoughts of my own. And so this is going to be a little bit more of an informal chat. I'm not going to be looking really deeply at the research, although there will be some research that I'm referencing. If you want a deeper look at the research, I have a playlist that's for that entire topic. Now, buckle up because this is going to be a brutal video. And as always, if you're looking for a much more extensive discussion of relationships, specifically the skills required to initiate, maintain, and end them, the link to my course, the connection course, is always in my description box. So motivation of any kind is pretty simple. It comes down to a cost-benefit analysis, meaning anytime we're thinking about making a decision or a change, we're measuring out in our heads the perceived benefits versus the perceived costs of something. So if you are stuck in a situationship with another person and you're not understanding why don't they want to change this to a committed relationship, why don't they see me as somebody worth being in a committed relationship with, it really comes down to they just don't perceive the benefits of a relationship as outweighing the disadvantages of a relationship. And they perceive the situationship as a whole, considering its costs and benefits, to be more beneficial to them than a relationship. You know, to give you a real life example, so I know many of you watch Love is Blind, and on Love is Blind recently we saw AD and Clay walk down the aisle, and Clay ultimately said no. This popped up on my For You page on TikTok.
Clay and we're flirty friends. We are flirty friends. So if we see each other outside, we're like in each other's faces. Like we like hug and cuddle and like we're all over each other. But again, we're friends.
Okay. Now I don't know their situation. I don't know their different motives. I don't know what they want or don't want in a relationship. But I will say if she were to want a relationship with him rather than a situationship, I can't quite imagine what would incentivize Clay to make that change, to make that shift from situationship to relationship. Assuming he already has the benefits of physical intimacy, the benefits of emotional intimacy because they were engaged, they were together. Presuming there are many of women throwing themselves at him in the DMs, because that's always what happens with these shows. You know, contestants go on these reality TV shows, and if they don't end up with the person, if they don't end up actually marrying that person, they always end up with their dream person, their dream woman, their dream man. Even the villains, even the most hated people on these shows end up with their dream person because they have an abundance of people who are suddenly throwing themselves at them. So if sexual variety is something that Clay wants, then he has the benefits of that as well in a situationship. So in a situation like this, why would something progress from situationship to relationship? It doesn't make sense. There's no incentive for the person. And I think sometimes people assume that they can skew a person's cost-benefit analysis. You know, they assume that if I just show them that I could be an incredible partner, that I could bring so much value to their life, by being sexually adventurous, by showing off my wonderful personality, by being compliant with whatever they want, you know, by being the cool girl or the cool guy, whatever, then they're finally going to feel like the benefits of being in a relationship with me outweigh the disadvantages. They're finally going to feel like it's tilting more in the direction of relationship rather than situationship. It doesn't matter how great you are. If a person values sexual variety over commitment with one great person, you don't have enough power to change their mind. You know, if they're valuing sexual variety as like a 9 out of 10 in terms of importance, and being in a relationship with somebody who's wonderful as like a 6 out of 10. Even if you have 6 out of 10, even if you get 100% on that score, it's still not enough to outweigh the benefits of what they're actually choosing. Now, a lot of people say a man is only as faithful as his options, and I disagree with this, so let me explain what I actually think is happening instead. But regardless of gender, putting gender aside for a moment, I think what makes a person motivated to stay in a situationship is they have the deadly combination of sexual options and a propensity for sexual variety. To have one element is not enough. A person can be as big of a horn dog as they want, but if they don't have options, they might settle for a relationship just to get certain needs met. And if that's the case, if they get into a relationship just because they don't have options, if at some point they do get options, they're probably the type of person to cheat. Likewise, a person could have a lot of options, but if they don't want to sleep around, then they're not going to be interested in that. If they're looking for a committed partner, then it doesn't matter how many people are throwing themselves at them. They don't care. To give you an example, a few months ago, I was catching up with an old friend, and I was asking this person, how's stuff going? And with the dating scene, seems like it's going well based on your stories. And this person said to me, yeah, I do want a wife, but the temptation's too much. I have too much temptation. I have too many options. At some point, if you have too many options and you value variety more than you value seeking that one person for you, you're probably not going to stop until your options run out. Or until you decide that, actually the benefits of a relationship at this point outweigh the benefits of continuing down this path. Now, to address the gender thing, you'll hear a lot of people these days, red pillars, evolutionary psychologists, quasi-evolutionary psychologists, saying that men are programmed for sexual variety and women are programmed for monogamy. Is this true? Do all men have this propensity for sexual variety while women do not? This is an overblown exaggeration from a little seedling of truth. The seedling of truth is that there are trends that show that men are less interested in commitment than women. And this is why, for instance, in gay communities, men have a lot more hookup culture than in straight communities, because there's not that woman sort of vying for commitment. And remember, we're talking about trends here. We're talking about trends in the research. There are always exceptions. I think situationships are what you get when you have a culture that prioritizes men's preference for the dating culture over women's preference for the dating culture. So let me explain what I mean. On campuses where men are the minority, because they're more coveted, there are a lot of women trying to get the attention of a smaller amount of men. The men determine the dating culture. And like I said, there is a trend that men typically prefer non-commitment. And so then you get a stronger hookup culture on those campuses. Whereas on campuses where women are the minority and you have a lot of men vying for the attention of a small amount of women, women get to choose how dating looks, and often that looks a lot less hookup culture-y. Often that has a lot more committed relationships. And as you can imagine, since women outnumber men in college these days, we get a lot of hookup culture, right? So that's the seedling of truth that I was telling you about. However, within group differences are always bigger than between group differences. What this means is that from one woman to the next, from one man to the next, there can be huge differences compared to the statistical difference that we see in trends between men and women. Studies show that contrary to popular belief, this surprised me certainly, even men on dating apps aren't always looking for something casual, are often looking for a relationship. And I've seen for myself with my own two eyes, men who could decide to date around instead be motivated to say, no, I want a girlfriend or I want to find my wife. And within a year, they found their wife. Instead of sleeping around, they decide, I want to find my person, they find their person, and they lock it down. Remember, what motivates someone to be in a relationship is that they have run a cost-benefit analysis in their head, and they've determined they want something non-committal, and they have the option to do so. But if you, in your head, decide, no, I'm looking for a committed relationship, that's what's beneficial to me, then it doesn't matter what other options you have, and it doesn't matter that you could sleep around, it just doesn't interest you. The issue is not that all men prefer sleeping around over committing to one woman. The issue is that if you are in a situationship and you wish you were in a relationship with that person, your partner probably is one of those people who wants sexual variety, who has decided that a situationship outweighs a relationship and has the option to do so. And if that's the case, it would probably be a better use of your time to find somebody who wants the same thing as you, because they do exist, contrary to what people will try to brainwash you into thinking. Another element of the cost-benefit analysis, and this one's going to hurt, I'm really sorry, it's possible that they're just not into you. They're just not the right person for you. They don't perceive being in a relationship with you as advantageous, more advantageous than a situationship, because they think there's something better out there. And that's not always because it's true. A lot of people have delusions that something better is out there, but it's their perception that matters. They're basing these judgments, this cost-benefit analysis on their perceptions. I've known some certified horn dogs in my life, and when I see them, stringing along a woman, and I ask them, why are you doing this? Do you think that you can do better? They will flat out say, honestly, yes, I do think I can do better. Again, if you're in this position, that's not a reflection of your true value. It's a reflection of their subjective assessment. And you deserve to be with someone who sees your value for all that it is, not with somebody that doesn't see your worth. There are plenty of people out there that would treat you like royalty, so do not sell yourself short. And another thing I think we should touch on is avoidant attachment style. Sometimes people will end up in situationships chronically and not want to have a committed relationship because they just have an avoidant attachment style, meaning they have low anxiety and high avoidance. They're uncomfortable with people getting too close. They like to keep them at arm's length. It scares them when people get too close. People with avoidant attachment style often go for partners, committed or non-committed, who are anxious in their attachment style. And the reason for this is believed to be that everyone just kind of wants their own worldview reinforced. So an avoidant person is going to pick an anxious partner because then they get to feel like, oh my God, yeah, everybody's so clingy, I need to run away from them. An anxious partner is going to pick an avoidant partner because it reinforces this notion that people just want to run away from me, I need to cling to them. And considering that research shows people who engage in hookup culture tend to be more insecure in their attachment style, meaning they tend to have either an avoidant, anxious, or disorganized attachment style. If you are engaging in hookup culture, you are choosing from a pool of participants who is already more likely to be insecurely attached and more likely to be avoidantly attached than the general population. But regardless of whether your partner is avoidant or not, it is not your job to convince this person to see your value. You shouldn't have to do that, and frankly, you don't have the power to do that. You're trying to bargain with chips that they don't care about. You're trying to say, look at this, I can give you gold, I can give you silver, I can give you bronze, and they don't care. They want to play with plastic chips. I know it's easier said than done, but if you want to get out of a situationship, you have to set your sights on people who are more likely to want the same thing as you. And if you're interested in how to find such people, I have a whole lesson in the connection course on when and how to initiate relationships of different kinds. So check that out. I hope this video was helpful. I know this can be a tough position for people to be in, and so I hope that I wasn't too rough in my delivery of this, but if I am more direct about the subject, it's because I really want people to understand what their options are. As always, I'd love to hear your own stories in the comments, and if you think I forgot anything, and I'll see you soon.